So in NGSS, there is a bunch of stuff about erosion and landforms and how things are created. So that's what this activity is about, and it's also very tightly linked to both Salinas Valley here, agriculture, and the old home of many of our students in southern Mexico, Oaxaca and Chiapas, and the way they plant their crops and have done it for thousands of years. So it's a very nice activity, a little bit messy, but hey, kids often enjoy getting messy.
Yes.
Let me just start. To start with, I'm going to show you some pictures. These pictures are all on the Google Drive that we have for this, fourth grade. And they're pictures of terraces. Terraces are what farmers do when they're forced to plant on an incline, on a slant like that. So they make these little flat places, so it's like a stair step. This one here is in Rwanda. And all over the world, it's just kind of turns out it's a natural thing to do, is to make these terraces when you're faced with this situation. This one is in China, Yunnan. You see here they've completely transformed the entire valley. And these little terraces are completely flat. They're holding water. So the top of the water there is completely level. So they had to engineer those things so that they were completely level as well. And that's rice being planted there, so they have to be flooded with water to get that. And then this is in Indonesia. Also rice, this is mostly grown. You see how steep it is in some places. They built these things, and in between them, there's a wall, a vertical wall. Yeah. This is in Peru, Machu Picchu. It's a famous place. And now they built a wall with stones. They wanted it to stay there. Plant on these flat places, and then there's a vertical stone wall, and more flat places, a vertical stone wall. And that's where they raise their food, because Machu Picchu is these really steep mountains. And they wanted to do agriculture, they had to do it like this. And now that was around 500 or 600 years ago, I think. This is Oaxaca. Oaxaca is a very mild hill here, and it's the dry season. So you see it's almost like a pile of rocks between the flat places up and down the hills. And then here's the wet season, also Oaxaca. And this place, this little hill, they wanted to get the most out of it, so they made all these tiny little terraces up the sides like that. Well, this is Peru again. You can see from a distance. Got even little stair steps up and down the hill. So those are in this drive. I sent you this link. So it's a class kit write-up, it's a class visit write-up. You go here, you go to fourth grade, and you'll have the concepts and the vocabulary. Basically the same thing I was teaching, maybe a bit more than I was teaching, and the vocabulary. And as we do more, there'll be more. The other two will come up here as well. So then, the class kits, that's what we're doing now. And then this one is the terraces, or the erosion. So this is a chapter from a book that I wrote. I wrote the chapter, I didn't write the book. The book is called Science and Math Across Cultures. And it's about building terraces in rural China. I lived in China for a couple of years, out on the Tibetan plateau, and they have terraces out there. And you can see, you can barely see this scan copy. They built the terraces, and then they also built these irrigation ditches that go around the mountain from the water source all the way to where the fields are, the terraces are. So that's the second part of what we'll do. There's a little irrigation ditch going down there, trees planted right beside the irrigation ditch. So you can just take a look at this. This all describes the activity, but then it also has information from the Chinese farmers that I worked with when I was there. These are actually the families of my students. I was teaching English right out of college, and then I got very interested in the science. So then there's also this. This is the write-up of the activity here. So you can go step by step through this, see the materials, notebook, pencil, and then this is the stuff that I'm going to deliver to your school. You're going to have boxes, some dirt, sand, well, everything we're going to use today, I'm going to have it delivered to your school. I have it today if you want to take it home with you, but it's really heavy. This one's super heavy. So you can just wait and we'll bring it to your school, maybe even to your classroom, to put it there. So here's prep, pre-activities, and things you can ask them. But basically, you want to get them start to think about farming and point out that this whole valley is built on agriculture, and if they ever looked out into the valley south of here, and what do they notice? And you know, the place where all the fields are, the rich, expensive farmland where they're producing more than anywhere else in the United States, basically. All that lettuce and all that leafy stuff, it's completely flat. It's totally flat. And then on the sides, then it goes up into the mountains. And then nobody's planting anything up there. They only plant up where it's flat. And so that's, you want the kids to sort of understand that. And so then these farmers in other places in the world, they don't have any flat land. They've been, for whatever reason, their land is not flat. They live in a place that's at an angle, and they have to try to make a living on it. So how do they do it? Well, there's this thing they call terraces. And then in the second part of what we do, we talk about the irrigation. How do you get water to what you're going to grow? And the irrigation here is very important. I can always find a couple of students in the class whose parents work at irrigation, who are out there putting the tubes together. And of course the irrigation around here, it's all based on these pumps that were developed in the 30s that are extremely effective at pumping the water up out of the ground and all over the field. Most of them spray, although there's a lot of work being done to try to make them more efficient with the tubes. If you put tubes throughout the whole thing, little plastic drip tubes, then you don't lose as much water with irrigation, with evaporation. And they can put the water right on the plant. Of course, then you're using all this plastic that's stuck in the field, but there's a lot of farmers trying to do that as well. So you get this this connection to the local economy and the local culture. People working in the field, and the reason these fields work is because they're flat and because they got a lot of water that's going on to them. It also works because they dump all the fertilizer they need as well, and they make a highly productive operation. So what we're going to do is we're going to get a box. Okay, here we are with the erosion activity, with terraces and irrigation. So you're going to get some dirt and sand in a box. You're going to take it out, and you're going to pour half of it. You're going to construct your box first. You have 8 boxes, and you're going to dump half of each bag into the box. You can dip it back and forth too if you want. But it's basically just got to cover the bottom. You can kind of unclump it a little bit like that. Clump it all over here like this. And so there's 8 groups. So 4 will get sandy dirt, and 4 will get more soil-like dirt. So you spread it all, smooth it all out like that. Then each group also gets some palitos de paleta right here. I don't know, maybe 10. And then they also get some toothpicks, maybe 10. Doesn't matter that much. Then you want to prop it up, and you're going to get a block. You can prop it up 3 different ways. You can prop it up just like that. That's just a very small, slight hill. And then you can also prop it up like this.
Like that way, gives you a slightly bigger hill. Then if you want to go for the ultimate challenge, you prop it up like that, gives you a really big hill. And the challenge is then to build, the first challenge is to build terraces. See, this is your side hill. This is all you have to build your fields and raise your food for your family. You can't go to the store, you have to get it all from the field. So you might want to get a little bit wet to begin with. This is your little sprinkler bottle here. And get a little bit wet, and then just let them start building. And the trick is to build it like a staircase, like the terraces you saw in the pictures. Has to be a flat area and then a vertical area, flat, vertical, flat, and vertical, just like a stair steps. So you start at the top and make a flat field. I'm going with the high one. I think I'll go to the middle one, just to make it. Of course, it's easier to build terraces if you don't have such a steep hill. The steep hills are the hardest and the worst land. The poorest farmers often have the steepest land to deal with. Okay, so there's a flat field. And then you want to make a clean break, vertical step. And then you make another field. A field like that. And it's good fun playing with dirt. Then another one, and another one, another one. So you got all those flat staircases, the fields. Then you can use your sticks. You can actually use them as part of the wall. You can put in little posts like this if you want. You can even poke them into the cardboard if you want. However they want to do it. Okay, and then when they're done, you ask them, what do you think? Is it going to stand up when the rains come? Because the next step, when everybody's got that, everybody's more or less got all their fields built, is to rain on the fields. Then it comes in and the rain, and the thunderclouds coming over the mountains, and here it comes, starts slow, and then pretty soon it starts coming down really hard. And you can see if the fields, the terraces hold up, or if they break down. And there's all kinds of things to notice here. One thing here, I don't know if you can see, but it's breaking through there. I had a little wall there and it broke through. That's erosion. That's when the dirt gets taken by the water. That's erosion. It's extremely important. It's losing the topsoil. The topsoil is the place where things grow. If you lose the topsoil, you can't grow anything in the dirt underneath the topsoil. So you point out that was erosion. You point out that the sand is very likely not going to hold up as well as the other dirt. Sand is not as good at holding a vertical place. The sticks are absolutely instrumental. If you don't have enough sticks, or in real life, you might actually plant trees along your terraces or other kind of plants to hold the dirt in place. So all that stuff you'll be able to see and discuss as you're raining on their fields. Okay, so then you go and you make sure that other groups are all watching when you do one. So everybody gathers around a big circle and you show them one by one each one of the 8 stations. Okay, so that was part 1, the terraces. And in part 2, you take out all the sticks and you level it all off again. And now you got a different challenge. Now you've got a water supply someplace else. Maybe it's a lake or a river or a main irrigation canal somewhere, and that's where the water is going to come in, and then you have to channel that water from that source down to your field. You say your field is all the way down here. And you could even poke a hole. If you have a knife or scissors or something, you could poke a hole down there, but you don't have to poke a hole down there. You just say that's where the water is going to go. And you have to take the water from the top all the way down to that hole. And if you make a straight line straight down there, from the activity that we just did, you can see that it's just going to tear the dirt right down there. It's going to erode it all the way out the hill, all the way down the hill. And so what you want to do is make kind of an S curve, so it's never flowing very fast. It's kind of an S curve, back and forth and back and forth. And then you can kind of dig it deeper, because you want to be able to carry a good bit of water. Make it deeper and deeper like this, and the corners here, the places where it turns, they're going to be the most important. When the water turns, it's going to want to wash it out. So you have to build them up, make it as deep as you think it's going to work. And then once again, you could put some reinforcement in. If you think it's going to wash out there, you might want to put some sticks in there. And you could put a whole bunch of little toothpicks. You can act like the toothpicks are trees. I'm gonna plant some trees right there because I think it's gonna wash out right there. All right, so it goes down here, comes around here, and down to here. All right, and once again, whenever they're done, you give them whatever, 5 minutes, 10 minutes to build it. And then when they're done, every group comes to each box to watch it happen. Now this time, you don't use the little sprinkle head. This time you dip the thing in there and fill it about half full. You could decide how much to put on it. It's if you put the whole bottle on it, you're gonna destroy them all probably. So maybe, whatever, halfway up the bottle and say, okay, now we're gonna open the irrigation ditch. Now this is not rain, this is your irrigation ditches have gates on them, and we're gonna open the floodgates, and it's gonna flood down to your irrigation canal that you just made all the way down to your field. Your field is down here. You could say your field is all out here. So we're going to see if you built your irrigation canal good enough that it's going to take the water to where it's needed. All right, so let's see. Can you see this? Going to dump it in up at the top here. And let's see it happening. It's already breaking through. Oh my gosh, you would think after so many years of this activity I could do it, so it works. But this is working all right, so it's come down here. The main thing is it's moving slowly. That's what you want. You don't want it gushing down there. It's going to tear them out. Well, it is breaking through right there, though. It'd be better if I could pour it down like this. I'll pour it over here. You pour it in slowly, and oh, it's breaking all the way up. Oh my gosh, it just destroyed itself over there. It's not even going into the irrigation ditch. And so you can see that I should have had more support right up there at the top. Yeah. So each one is going to be different. However they make it, it's going to be different. And you could talk about what each one, and before you do it, you can ask them what they think is going to happen, their hypothesis for how well they built their ditch. And then of course you're going to see the big difference between the sandy one and the dirt one, the soil one. All right, and then don't forget to tell them that this is happening, to remind them, like you did in the discussion to begin with, that this is happening all over the world for thousands of years. People have had to try to plant things and use agriculture on the side of a hill. And when they did that, they had to make terraces and make irrigation ditches. So that's what we're doing. We're giving it a try, what these peoples who lived and farmed these hills for thousands of years have had to do. And that's it. Okay, you can see that part one. This is all step-by-step stuff. You can do it this way, and you can do it a different way, but this is the way I've done it before. Terraces, and then what do you make a comparison? Sand versus soil, steep versus gentle terrain, hard rain versus gentle rain. Make all these comparisons. And then irrigation ditches, and then the topics for discussion. We talk about all this stuff. We talked about a little bit of it. And then, well, here's the NGSS concepts. R-E-S-S, I feel like I'm reading from the Bible every time NGSS is the words of the NGSS. Earth systems make observations and measurements to provide evidence for effects of weathering and the rate of erosion by water. Okay, that's what we did, right? And the clarifications, that tells you assessment boundary, single form of weathering. Okay, that's what we did. Perfect. So if you do this, you can check off that one. And here's another one from the these are called the disciplinary core ideas. I don't know if you're familiar with the NGSS, but it's a three-dimensional standard system. There's science and engineering practices, which is what we just did. We just engineered these terraces and irrigation ditches. So we're actually doing the job of an engineer, being an engineer as we did that. And then there's the disciplinary core ideas, which are actually the concepts from previous versions of the standards. That's like the list of sort of
phenomena or knowledge that they're supposed to know, little knowledge snippets. And then the next one is the cross-cutting concepts. And that one is these things that come up all the time. There's patterns, there's stability and change, there's cause and effect, and these things that are just everywhere in science. So this is from the disciplinary core ideas, and then the top one is one of the things that they're supposed to do. So we did it. So if we do this, it's all according to the NGSS. But I encourage you to go beyond that, because once they're all excited about doing something like this, then is the time to get them to bump up their communication skills, their language, literacy, learn some new words, use the words, and express themselves. So I've got, in each one of these write-ups, I've got some sentence starters. So you can say, something interesting I observed was, and fill in the blank. And they could do this in little groups where they're talking to each other, or they could get out their science notebooks and they could write the answer to one or two or three of these. You don't have to do it all, but it's really important to communicate, because that's also what scientists do. Once they discover something, they have to communicate it to other scientists and to the world. So if I was a farmer on a piece of land, first thing I would do would be to go buy a practice of land. You can't buy this. Oh, okay. Erosion means. Okay, so that's more like a quiz question, but let's find out. Okay, so you get the idea. If I wanted to protect the topsoil of my land, I would. So these are just wide open questions. They're not designed to specifically get at the concepts, the sort of intricate concepts of the NGSS, as much as to just get them talking, communicating, and using their language. And if you've got a bilingual class, you do it in Spanish. Great, just as good to do it in Spanish. So I think that's all I wanted to tell you. Got any other questions or ideas?
So when are the materials going to be delivered?
This week. I'm going to bring them to your place this week, and then you can do it whenever you want. You can wait till next May to do it if you want. You can make it slot into your curriculum or your plan of the year, whenever you want. And it's more or less disposable, recyclable. Dump out the dirt, throw the box in the recycle. The wood is all recycled wood already, so you can just throw that in the trash, or you have a wood stove, you can take it home and burn it. There it is. Others of them that you'll get will be, you can keep it and do it again the next year.
Cool.
All right.
About how long would you say we should space out for this? Because this seems like something that needs to be done in one.
That's right.
Sitting.
Yeah, say at least an hour, hour 15.
Okay.
You kind of have to get them going, get them out there. Let's go. Put the stuff down. Kick them a little bit. You do want to think ahead in terms of where you're going to dump the dirt when you're done. And have the kids do it. Right?
In the back.
Take your
Of the field.
somewhere else.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. We do it on the field.
The only logistical issue is the water. You got to get a vessel of water. If not a bucket, then a big old jug. 2-gallon jugs should be enough. But you gotta.
Or math.
Dirt in one of the beds.
Oh, yeah.